Imagine a world where strength isn't merely physical prowess, but the very essence of what it means to be truly alive. Picture a philosopher so bold, so provocative, that his ideas challenge everything you've been taught about morality, compassion, and human potential. What if the values we hold dear, kindness, humility, forgiveness, are actually chains that keep us from achieving greatness? Friedrich Nietzsche believed exactly that. And today, we're diving deep into his controversial philosophy to answer a compelling question. Why did Nietzsche despise weakness? Stay with me, because by the end of our journey, you'll encounter a revelation that might fundamentally reshape how you see yourself and the world around you. At the heart of Nietzsche's philosophy lies a profound disdain for weakness, not just in others, but within ourselves. But what exactly did he mean by weakness? Nietzsche wasn't concerned with physical limitations or temporary setbacks. He was targeting something deeper, more insidious, a surrender to mediocrity, a willingness to conform, and a refusal to take responsibility for one's own life. In Nietzsche's view, most people embrace weakness because it's easier than striving for greatness. It's more comfortable to follow the crowd than to forge your own path. It's safer to accept limitations than to challenge them. Weakness, to Nietzsche, was fundamentally a mindset, a rejection of life's challenges and an unwillingness to embrace its inherent chaos. But why did Nietzsche view this so harshly? To understand, we need to unravel his vision of human potential and what he believed stood in its way. Nietzsche's critique begins with what he called slave morality, a term that reflects his sharp assessment of the values promoted by society, especially those originating in religious traditions. Slave morality, according to Nietzsche, glorifies weakness. It elevates qualities like meekness, humility, and self-sacrifice, which he saw not as virtues but as coping mechanisms for the powerless. These values, Nietzsche argued, were born out of resentment, what he called ressentiment. Imagine someone who feels powerless against those stronger than them. Instead of seeking to overcome their weakness, they invent moral systems that frame strength as evil and weakness as virtuous. The good person in this inverted system becomes the one who doesn't threaten others, who remains humble, who sacrifices their own desires for others. Do you recognize this pattern in our modern world? Consider how often we celebrate victimhood over triumph, how quick we are to criticize ambition and assertiveness as arrogance or selfishness, how we created a culture where standing out too much is seen as threatening or inappropriate. Nietzsche believed this mindset was dangerous because it prevents individuals from embracing what he called the will to power, the driving force behind all human achievement. But here's a crucial clarification. The will to power isn't about dominating others. It's about self-overcoming, the ability to master yourself, to transform your weaknesses into strengths, to become more than you currently are. Nietzsche saw life as a constant struggle, a dance between chaos and order, between destruction and creation. To him, the greatest individuals are those who embrace the struggle, who take the raw material of existence and shape it into something extraordinary. Weakness, in contrast, is a refusal to engage with the struggle. It's a retreat into comfort, conformity, and self-pity. Now, pause and reflect. Have you ever felt the pull of these two forces? The desire to rise above your circumstances versus the temptation to give in to fear, doubt, or external judgment. Nietzsche's challenge to us is clear. Will you succumb to the comfort of weakness, or will you rise to the challenge of your own existence? As we journey deeper into Nietzsche's philosophy, we encounter his archetype of the Übermensch, or Overman, sometimes translated as Superman. The Übermensch represents the ideal human being, someone who transcends traditional morality and creates their own values. For Nietzsche, the Übermensch is the ultimate rejection of weakness. This person doesn't look to external authority for guidance, but embraces their individuality and the chaos of existence to forge a meaningful life. But why is this ideal so rare? Nietzsche believed that society actively suppresses it through systems of control, be it religion, politics, or culture. Society encourages conformity and mediocrity. Think about the rules you've been told to follow, the expectations placed upon you, and the subtle ways you've been conditioned to prioritize safety over risk and stability over growth. Nietzsche called for rebellion against these forces. He urged us to embrace the discomfort of existence, to face life's uncertainties head-on, and to create meaning in a world that offers none. And yet, this path is not for the faint of heart. Nietzsche understood that breaking free from societal norms and confronting one's own weaknesses requires immense courage. But he also believed it was the only path to true freedom and fulfillment. He famously declared, "What does not kill me makes me stronger." This isn't a call to endure suffering passively, but an invitation to see every challenge as an opportunity for growth, to transform obstacles into stepping stones toward becoming who you truly are. As we unravel Nietzsche's disdain for weakness, one question looms large. Are we ready to confront our own? Do we have the courage to face the abyss, to challenge the values we've been taught, and to forge a life of purpose and strength? Or will we, like so many before us, succumb to the comfort of mediocrity? Let's dive deeper into Nietzsche's critique of weakness and explore how his ideas resonate with the complexities of our modern world. Nietzsche's philosophy isn't merely a critique of societal values, but a blueprint for personal transformation, a call to reject the mediocrity that surrounds us and awaken the dormant potential within. To fully understand Nietzsche's disdain for weakness, we must examine its roots. He believed that weakness is cultivated not by nature, but by culture. Society, in Nietzsche's view, rewards conformity and punishes individuality. Think about the systems that dominate our lives. Schools that value obedience over creativity, workplaces that prioritize compliance over innovation, and social media platforms that encourage us to seek constant validation from others. These systems, Nietzsche would argue, perpetuate a culture of weakness by discouraging people from questioning authority and challenging the status quo. Consider how this plays out in your own life. Have you ever felt pressured to suppress your true self to fit in? Have you ever been made to feel guilty for wanting more success, more freedom, more meaning? Nietzsche's philosophy is a radical rejection of these pressures. He challenges us to reclaim our power, to question the rules we've been told to follow, and to create our own path. At the heart of Nietzsche's critique is his concept of herd mentality. The herd, in his view, represents the masses who blindly follow societal norms without questioning their validity. Herd mentality thrives on fear. Fear of standing out, fear of failure, fear of taking responsibility for one's life. It's a mindset that seeks comfort in conformity and avoids the discomfort of individuality. But Nietzsche saw individuality as the highest expression of human existence. To him, the greatest tragedy is not failure, but a life unlived, a life spent avoiding risks, suppressing desires, and conforming to expectations. He declared, "The individual has always had a struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. If you try it, you will be lonely often and sometimes frightened. But no price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself." Now let's pause and reflect. How often do we sacrifice our individuality to gain acceptance? How often do we choose comfort over authenticity? Nietzsche's challenge is not easy, but it is essential. Will you have the courage to embrace your individuality even if it means standing alone? To Nietzsche, this courage is the essence of what it means to be human. It's the willingness to confront life's uncertainties, to embrace its chaos, and to create meaning in a world that offers none. This is the path of the Übermensch, the overman who rises above her mentality and lives life on their own terms. But how does one begin this journey? Nietzsche's answer lies in what he called amor fati, or love of fate. This concept isn't about passive acceptance of life's circumstances, but an active embrace of everything life has to offer, the joys and the sorrows, the triumphs and the struggles. To love your fate is to see every experience as an opportunity for growth and every challenge as a chance to test your strength. Imagine viewing your life through this lens. Instead of resenting your struggles, you see them as a fire that forges your character. Instead of fearing failure, you embrace it as a stepping stone to success. This mindset, Nietzsche believed, is the key to unlocking your potential. And yet, embracing amor fati is easier said than done. It requires a radical shift in perspective, a willingness to let go of resentment, to stop blaming others for your circumstances, and take full responsibility for your life. Nietzsche's philosophy isn't for the faint of heart. It demands courage, resilience, and an unwavering commitment to self-overcoming. But the rewards are profound. To live as an Übermensch is to experience life in its fullest intensity, to find joy in the struggle, meaning in the chaos, and strength in the face of adversity. It's to live a life that is truly your own, Let's explore how Nietzsche's ideas can be applied to the challenges of the modern world. How do we rise above the herd mentality in an age of social media, where conformity is often rewarded and individuality is punished? How do we cultivate the strength to embrace our fate in a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable? Nietzsche's warnings about herd mentality are eerily relevant in an era dominated by social media, mass culture, and global interconnectedness. The question we must confront is this: how do we resist the pull of mediocrity in a world that constantly demands our compliance? In Nietzsche's time, the herd was represented by rigid societal norms and the unyielding power of organized religion. Today, the herd has evolved but remains equally pervasive. Think about how social media platforms encourage conformity through algorithms designed to reward popular opinions while suppressing dissenting voices. Consider how often we filter our thoughts and emotions to fit into the curated versions of reality we present online. This is modern herd mentality, an updated version of the same forces Nietzsche criticized. Nietzsche would argue that social media amplifies weakness by rewarding superficial engagement over deep thought, popularity over authenticity, and compliance over individuality. Every like, share, and retweet reinforces the values of the herd, subtly shaping our behavior and conditioning us to seek validation from others. But Nietzsche's philosophy offers a way out. He challenges us to reclaim our authenticity, to resist the urge to conform, and to create a life that reflects our true selves. Imagine what it would mean to live authentically in the digital age. It's not about rejecting technology or withdrawing from society, but about using these tools to express your individuality rather than suppress it. It's about asking yourself, am I posting this because it aligns with my values, or because I want others to approve of me? Am I living for myself, or am I living to fit into a mold created by others? Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch provides a framework for answering these questions. The Übermensch isn't a recluse or an outcast, but a creator, a person who uses their unique perspective to shape the world rather than being shaped by it. In practical terms, this means cultivating self-awareness, embracing discomfort, and prioritizing your values over societal expectations. But how do we cultivate this mindset in a world that constantly pulls us in the opposite direction? Nietzsche's philosophy suggests 3 key practices. First, embrace solitude. Nietzsche believed that true self-discovery requires moments of isolation where we can reflect on our thoughts and desires without the influence of others. In his words, "The great man is he who in the midst of the crowd keeps with perfect sweetness the independence of solitude." Solitude isn't about loneliness, but about creating space for introspection and self-exploration. Second, cultivate resilience. Nietzsche's famous phrase, "What does not kill me makes me stronger," encapsulates his belief in the transformative power of adversity. Challenges aren't obstacles to be avoided, but opportunities to test and strengthen your character. The next time you face a setback, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this experience make me stronger? Third, take responsibility for your life. Nietzsche rejected the idea of blaming external forces for our circumstances. He believed that true strength comes from owning your choices and creating your destiny. This doesn't mean ignoring the realities of systemic oppression or societal barriers, but refusing to let them define you. It's about finding ways to rise above, to adapt, and to thrive despite the odds. Now, let's turn to the emotional dimension of Nietzsche's philosophy. At its core, his critique of weakness is not a condemnation, but a call to action. He recognized that the struggle against weakness is a deeply human experience, one filled with fear, doubt, and uncertainty. But he also believed that this struggle is what gives life its meaning. Have you ever faced a moment of profound doubt? A time when you question your abilities, your purpose, or your worth? Nietzsche's philosophy speaks directly to these moments. He reminds us that doubt isn't a sign of failure, but a catalyst for growth. It's in these moments of uncertainty that we have the opportunity to confront our weaknesses, to challenge our limitations, and to emerge stronger. Consider the challenges you face in your own life. Perhaps you feel trapped in a job that stifles your creativity, a relationship that limits your growth, or a mindset that holds you back. Nietzsche's question to you would be this: are you willing to confront these challenges head-on? Are you willing to embrace the discomfort of change to create a life that reflects your true potential? Now we arrive at the culmination of Nietzsche's philosophy, a truth so profound, so challenging, that it demands us to confront the very essence of our existence. At the heart of Nietzsche's critique of weakness lies an invitation to transcend it. This is the ultimate task he presents: to look into the abyss of life's uncertainty, its lack of inherent meaning, and its chaotic nature, and to emerge stronger, more authentic, and more alive than ever before. To Nietzsche, life isn't a puzzle to be solved, but a canvas to be painted, a dance to be performed. The weak see life as a burden filled with obstacles and suffering. But the strong, the Übermensch, see life as an opportunity. They embrace its chaos, its unpredictability, and its challenges as the raw materials from which they can create something extraordinary. But how do we become this version of ourselves? Nietzsche's answer is both inspiring and daunting. We must become creators. This doesn't necessarily mean artists or inventors, though it could. It means taking responsibility for shaping our lives, our values, and our destiny. Creation, in Nietzsche's philosophy, is the highest act of strength, for it requires us to confront life's void and fill it with our own meaning. This is where the concept of eternal recurrence enters the picture, a thought experiment Nietzsche proposed to challenge how we live our lives. Imagine, he said, that you had to live your life over and over again, exactly as it is for all eternity. Every choice you make, every action you take, would be repeated endlessly. How would this realization change the way you live? Would you embrace each moment, knowing it would echo forever? Or would you shrink from the thought, paralyzed by regret and fear? Nietzsche posed this idea not as a literal belief, but as a mental exercise to inspire us to live with intention, courage, and authenticity. Eternal recurrence forces us to confront a powerful question. If your life were to repeat forever, would you be proud of it? Now, consider this question in the context of your own life. Are you living in a way that reflects your deepest values and aspirations? Are you embracing the challenges that come your way, or are you avoiding them out of fear? Nietzsche's philosophy invites us to see life not as something to endure, but as something to create, a masterpiece shaped by our choices, our struggles, and our triumphs.